And we are live! Hello everybody and welcome to the Virtual Stock Car Racing Association 2021A season opener from Daytona. I'm Jonathan Oates and joining me tonight in the broadcast booth is Isaac Johnson. Isaac, how are you doing tonight?
Man, I have never been more excited for a race than I am now. We got a bunch of great drivers in here at a really awesome racetrack and a really awesome car set to work with here tonight. I think we're going to see some of the greatest racing we have in a really long time.
We are live. Oh god, I'm playing my own stream back. Alright, well I've already completely choked it. I made that mistake, but luckily we've got that figured out. Alright, so we are live from the high banks of Daytona with 3 minutes remaining in practice. We're going to go ahead and pull up the standings now. Looking at the top of the board, it's Austin Moore in the number 24 with a 47.24. Currently at the top of the board. Behind him, Josh Parker, Preston Pardis, Eric Kepf, and Mitchell Riggs making up your top 5 in practice at the moment. But at a track like Daytona, practice doesn't really matter. It really is all going to come down to the race. And speaking of that race, Isaac, what do you think are going to be the keys to the race tonight?
I think one of the main things here is just staying in line, watching your temps, making sure you're doing your part in your line, pushing these guys around this racetrack, as we know how heavy draft heavy Daytona is. Just going to be playing patient, playing the waiting game, waiting for those laps to tick down to the. Hopefully, you're at the front of the field at the final one, and making it there is going to be a huge factor too. As we all know, Daytona has massive accidents here, and just of staying out of those and keeping your nose clean all night long.
Yeah, so you take a look at a little bit of a pack here in practice, looking at the fastest driver at the moment, Austin Moore. But like I said, I don't think practice is going to matter all that much. Really, what you want to get out of practice is just kind of getting comfortable with everybody around you. It's been a bit of a long offseason for these guys. They haven't gone racing since last year. So some of these guys might just be trying to get a little bit used to the competition once again. Speaking of last season, your defending champion joins us here tonight. That'll be the number 84 of Jake Fisher. You see him now in that Space Station Gaming Mustang in the middle of that pack going into turns 3 and 4. That's Preston Pardis in the 90 behind him. So right there, that number 84, your defending champion. But like you said, accidents can strike at Daytona at any time. One wrong bump, one wrong move, one you thought you were clear but you really won't. That could take out the whole pack, and if it doesn't take out the whole pack, it's still going to take out a lot of cars. So I think just staying out of trouble and as you see right there, a couple of cars go through the grass on the front straightaway. But like you said, I think just staying out of trouble and being there at the end is going to be a huge factor in this race. And I also think that finding teammates is going to be important as well. You know, finding guys to work with, finding people to draft with, and finding people you can trust is going to be really important to getting a win here at Daytona. So overall, I'm very excited for this race. Just about a minute and a half remaining in practice. It's still Austin Moore at the top of the board, but a little bit of a change behind him. Brian Mercurio in that 41 low-line Racing Ford has slotted his way into second. J.D. Lard to third. Preston Pardis back to fourth. And the last time the VSCRA went to Daytona, it was Jonathan Palmieri taking the victory. He is right now in fifth with a 47.15 at the moment. Moore, the only driver to break into that 46-second barrier. So with just about a minute remaining in practice here, Isaac, I know you might recognize some of the names here. Who do you think are going to be some of your heavy hitters tonight at Daytona?
Well, obviously, you know, the Preston Pardis, Tyler Gary, I know he's pretty good at these races. Chris Dolan, Kyle Riley, and obviously Ryan Vargas are all going to be up towards the front, making some moves, making some great racing action for us here tonight.
Yeah, I think it'll also be notable to keep your eyes out for Jake Fisher, defending series champion, and the 55, his teammate, or I guess 69, but custom number 55, of Will Rogers. Those two teammates, both very experienced, very good drivers. I think that we might see them working together quite a bit tonight. Another thing that's kind of unique to these Xfinity cars, which we didn't really see the last time we covered a race at Daytona in the Cup cars, is that the runs aren't quite as big, so you really got to try and stay up to someone's bumper because it's a lot easier to lose the draft when these cars aren't punching as big of a hole in the air as you might see in some other cars. Practice just about to wrap up. We're going to head into qualifying next here at the Daytona International Speedway for the first VSCRA race of 2021. Qualifying, of course, going to be single car, 2 lap runs, I believe. Actually, I'm not entirely sure if it is single or double lap runs, but we'll probably be able to tell pretty easily because if someone takes the high side on their first lap, you know they're setting up for a second one.
Confirmed it is 2 lap runs.
So I'm guessing the key to qualifying, if you do have 2 laps to work with, is going to be using that first lap to kind of build up speed on the high side and then diving low for that second lap, really trying to build up all the momentum you can. But at the same time, a good strategy for qualifying might just be to not qualify at all. You know, it's always a decent idea to just kind of stay at the rear, not get in any early trouble. We see Eric Kepf out on track now. Looks like he is the first driver approaching the high banks of Daytona. Austin Drake out on track as well. So is Austin Moore, fastest in practice. Will Rogers out as well, along with Jonathan Palmieri. Brian Mercurio out on track as well. But at the moment, it is Eric Kepf, the furthest along the racetrack, so he is going to be the first driver to start his lap. You can see already right against the wall, trying to build up as much speed as he can for his first lap.
Outright speed's going to be the key to getting a good starting position here at Daytona. As you see these guys trying to run as close to the wall, get as much run up as they can, build as much speed as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that on one hand, you're going to need to have a fast car right away, but because it's a fixed setup series, it's really going to come down to keeping your momentum up throughout the banking. And from my experience, the best way to do that is to use this first lap, like I said, to kind of stay right against the wall. And on that second lap, you want to dive it low in the tri-oval, but you don't want to just hook the yellow line. You actually want to move up a little bit from it off the tri-oval and down the back, because you really don't want to choke up your momentum by staying right against that bottom line. So it's Eric Kepf in that 63, rounding turns 3 and 4. You're going to see him dive down here in the tri-oval to start his first lap. Rounding turn 4 now. You're going to see it here in just a moment. A little bit off the wall, a bit more of a gradual turn down to the bottom, trying to keep his speed up. Coming to the line now, Eric Kepf. That's his first lap done, so this is going to be his second lap, drifting way up off the bottom as he goes to turn 1. You can see right there, getting a really nice line into turn 1, nice and gentle. You don't want to choke up the momentum too much. Off turn 2, down the back, and a drift up once again, I'm assuming. There it is. Just about 2 lanes off the bottom. You could maybe fit 2 cars there if you were being ambitious. Right now, at the top of the board, it's the 65 of Justin Bland with a 50.883, but I'm guessing those times are going to come down as these drivers go to their second laps. Off turn 4, coming to the line now, Eric Kepf going to be the first driver to set a second lap. We'll see how much of an improvement it is over the first one. Cutting the tri-oval and to the line, Eric Kepf going to the top of the board with a 50.43. Justin Lisenby knocks him off now. Tyler Gary to second, Kepf down to third. Riggs to fourth. Right now looking at Jake Fisher, defending champion, out on track for his second lap.
Yeah, Lisenby got a barely faster lap than Tyler Gary by 0.02 of a second over Gary, as now it's Cosman Ionescu just barely 4/1000ths of a second off Lisenby on pole.
Ionescu to second, but here comes Jake Fisher off turn 4. We'll see what kind of a time the 84 can set. Nice and wide off turn 4. You don't want to choke it up at the bottom, but maybe a little bit too soon. He's going to drift down below that double yellow line, bring it to the line. Jake Fisher, a 50.444, only going to put him 9th. It's still Lisenby at the top of the board. So Justin Lisenby right now at the top. Brian Mercurio still out on track. Now back into the pit lane. Kyle Riley out on the racetrack, but stopping after his lap. It'll put him 12th. Gabe Herschel out on his lap, but slowing down as well. So a lot of these drivers have already set their laps. Peter Akumono stopped on track as well. Josh Parker just setting his lap. That's going to put him first. Josh Parker, a 50.392, going to put him at the top of the board. The only driver inside of the 50.4s. So a great lap from Josh Parker in that 18 Toyota Supra. Going to put him first. Aaron Hale out on track now. Just kind of winding it off turn 4, but maybe keeping it a little low here. We'll see what Hale sets coming to the line. Not going to cut the tri-oval, so not going to be a great lap. Aaron Hale going to go... waiting on the update, 23rd. Timmy Pacioli waiting in the pit lane now. Jonathan Bell rounding turn 4 off his second lap. He is going to bring it to the line once again above that yellow line. So not going to be a great lap for Bell. Chris Dolan still waiting in the pit lane. Still a few drivers yet to go. Same with Tristan Hagenstein. Only 14 seconds remaining in qualifying. Warren Rosario to 10th. I believe it is going to be Josh Parker taking the pole. So,
yeah, Josh Parker's only got 100th of a second advantage over Justin Lisenby there.
But yeah, the time has ran out. It is going to be Josh Parker on pole, leading him down for the season opener in the Virtual Stock Car Racing Association National Premier Series race at Daytona Parker on pole. They're all going to grid up now. 80 laps ahead of these drivers, and after tonight, we're going to have our first winner of the season. Lisenby, one of the first to grid up. He barely missed out on that pole in that number 31 JDR Graphics Mustang.
Jonathan, after qualifying, do you think your picks for this race have changed?
Well, I'm not sure if I really have any picks, but I've got to say, I've still got my eyes on Will Rogers, Brian Mercurio, and Tyler Gary. I think those three are going to make some big moves tonight. I think mainly Will Rogers. I mean, he's got a strong teammate to work with. I definitely kind of put him in as maybe not a race favorite, but definitely someone to watch out for. A couple of other drivers I've kind of noticed. I think Kyle Riley might be able to make a charge at it. Justin Lisenby, he always tends to be fast, but in the end, I think it's going to be a big mix of kind of luck and skill that's going to determine the winner. Just kind of the nature of these super speedway races. And of course, we can't take our eyes too far off the pole sitter, Josh Parker, who is definitely going to be a threat to win. We're going to cut away for just a moment. I'm going to adjust some of the audio balancing because I noticed the cars were a bit quiet in qualifying, and we'll be right back. We're back live at Daytona. The audio should be a little bit better now. The field's still continuing to grid up behind that pace car Mustang. Like I said, 80 laps ahead of these drivers. Taking a look at some of the field now. One driver we haven't mentioned so far, Justin Melillo, lining up inside row 4, might be able to make a charge at the win here tonight. Still just gridding at the moment. Waiting for everybody to line up. The lights are out on the top of your board, so you should see the pace car rolling off in just a moment. Those red lights turning on should signify the start of the pace laps. We are underway at Daytona. The pace car leading him out of the pit lane. Josh Parker over Lisenby, Ionescu, and Brian Mercurio. Your top 4 right behind that pace Mustang.
Yeah, I'm just looking at qualifying times here. Second place to 19th was only separated by roughly a tenth. Like, this is a very competitive and close field here, so we're going to see some great racing, possibly some smart racing, maybe even some green flag pit stops. You never know. This is Daytona, after all.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a very strong field of drivers. I mean, I've got a lot of confidence in these guys. I think we might be able to make it to 1 or more green flag stops. If I remember correctly, this car can go about 37 laps on a single fuel run. The field rolling down the back straightaway. Josh Parker leading him right behind that pace car. I'm very excited. I'm really interested to see how this season kicks off. I think we're going to get a good idea of who's fast, who's not. But at the same time, it's Daytona, so anything can happen. I'm excited. I hope you are too. Pace car leading him into turns 3 and 4 now. Final corners under pacing, and then we're going to kick it up to race speed here on TMG. I'm going to thank you all for joining us tonight, and thank you to Elliot Henderson, league admin, for giving us the opportunity to broadcast this league tonight. Strap yourselves in. Welcome along for the ride. It's time for the VSCRA season opener at Daytona. Pace car leading him off turn 4. Gonna take that turn into the pit lane in just a moment. Field in the hands of Josh Parker. Here we go. Pace car is off. Coming to the green flag, Josh Parker in control. We are green at Daytona. We're racing in the VSCRA National Premier Series at Daytona.
Already, Josh Parker pulled out a slight lead over the 31 JDR graphics car on his outside. He's getting a pretty big push now. He's going to lose that lead going down into turn 1.
Justin Lisenby on that outside lane, getting a big push from Mercurio coming off turn 2. He might have the run on the high side. Parker's still fighting back with Ionescu in tow. Down the back straightaway for the first time tonight, double file throughout most of the field. Josh Parker leading away over Lisenby and Ionescu, headed for turn 3. Still side by side for the lead. Josh Parker on that inside line. Lisenby fighting back on the high side. They're double file throughout the field off turn 4. Coming to the line for the first time. Who is going to lead the first lap? Lisenby on the outside, gaining over Parker. He is going to lead the first lap of the VSCRA season this year. Lisenby out front early. Parker fighting back on the inside. Too wide throughout most of the field. No one jumping up to make a third lane just yet. Everyone kind of calming down at the start of this race. Will Rogers, third car on that inside line, going to have a run here going down the back straightaway. It's still Parker over Ionescu. Ionescu starting to pull through on that inside line, but now Lisenby fighting back on the high side. Isaac, to you.
Yeah, these guys are just playing the waiting game further back. They're probably just trying to save fuel. They're not getting really close to each other's bumpers as to not accidentally hook someone. They're just playing the waiting game, trying to get some laps ticked down here as the fighting up front has kind of cooled off. The outside line's starting to drop a little bit. These guys are on the outside are probably just looking for a gap to jump down to the inside line.
3 wide behind. Jake Fisher going to put it through the middle. Actually, no, that's Gabe Herschel pushing it through the middle in the 07. A lot of space station cars just kind of blending together in my mind, but that's Kyle Riley up on the high side. Palmieri maybe looking to help, but Gabe Herschel making it 3 wide through the middle, trying to link up with his space station gaming teammates. 3 wide for a few rows now, but off turn 2 and down the back, it's still Josh Parker over Lies. Not much has changed up at the front. 1 car dropping out on the inside. Headed to turn 3 now. Lisenby gaining an advantage with Mercurio on the high line. 3 wide further back. Jake Fisher in the 84 hopping up high with Warren Rosario coming to help. 3 wide on the outside of Tyler Gary. The Space Station Gaming car is now sandwiching that 26 in the middle. But back to the line, it'll be Josh Parker leading him down for lap 4. Back to turn 1 now. Lisenby getting a run on that high side. That high line, that very high line, I should say, kind of fizzling out. Going to fall back behind the 26 of Gary. They're going to drop back in line. They weren't really able to do much last time by. Josh Parker leading him off turn 2. Down the back, couple of cars dropping out as they come down the back straightaway. Kyle Riley out on his own there. You see the 55 of Andrew Fitzgerald dropping back, going to 3. They're going to have to rejoin, though. They're going to make it back onto the racetrack before the banking starts.
Comes down to the bottom.
Justin Lisenby abandoning the high line. He's going to take the lead here with Mercurio now on the high line with Gary. Meanwhile, back in the pack, that's Palmieri with Riley working the high line. 3 wide for a little bit, but for the most part, it's just double and single file throughout the pack. Lisenby leading that lap. Big bump there coming from Josh Parker, headed towards turn 1 and 2. Mercurio now going to try and take the lead on the high line with Gary to help. Double file as they come off turn number 2. Sorry for cutting you off there, Isaac.
Outside line's getting the run coming off 2, but I don't think they're going to be able to do anything with it as the cars in the back all bunched up and got a little spread out there, and it kind of killed off the momentum they had.
Yeah, but that is Mercurio coming with a big run on the high line. Like you said, he's got that push from Gary. For the most part, just double file. Kyle Riley, once again, strung out 3 wide up top. Lap car going to get in the way. That's actually Ryan Vargas. Dropping back early on. I don't believe he went out for a qualifying lap, so he might have started from the pits, but Ryan Vargas going to go a lap down early on.
A bit more info on Vargas. Vargas did connect after the green flag fell, so he's rolling out of the pits for the first time, I guess. He's a lap down.
Yeah, only 1 lap down, so pretty lucky for Vargas. Side by side down the back straightaway for a second. For the most part, it is just side by side. Some of those Space Station Gaming cars starting to grid up, but for the most part, it's Lisenby leading away over Josh Parker. Mercurio still trying to make that high line work with Gary. Into turn 3 and 4. That high line once again starting to form up with that 8 car leading the charge, but they're going to drop back in line. Seems like that high line just not quite ready to form up. Coming lap 7 of 80. It is still Lisenby in control. Lisenby leading as they head towards turn number 1. Mercurio still trying to form up a run on the high line. The high line looking a little bit less organized than that inside line. That 41 car trying to come with a run. Now here comes Palmieri to the high line. 3 wide off 2.
He's going to drop off as he slots back in on the high side coming off turn 2 now.
Mercurio up front, going to get a run off turn 2, and down the back, he's going to work with Gary and take the lead. New leader, Brian Mercurio in the low line racing forward to the race lead, but Gary going to fight back on the high side. Off turn 4 for the 7th time tonight. That 84 of Jake Fisher, defending champion, going to give a big shove to Gary as they come down the front straightaway. Coming to lap 8 of 80, about a 10th of a way through this race, Tyler. Gary now trying to make that high line work. Seems like a lot of what we're getting here is just a couple of different cars cycling to the lead on the high line and then getting shuffled back. And once again, Palmieri is trying to make that high line work.
3 cars now on the top side as they are coming off turn 2 now.
Yeah, Elliot Henderson going up there to join the charge. Meanwhile, Josh Parker dropping out down the back straightaway. Like I said, though, Elliot Henderson in that bright purple Supra. Can he get that outside line? Starting to move. Jonathan Palmieri going to get a run here. Will Rogers on the inside of a 3 wide situation. Evan Rice in the middle. Coming off turn number 4. Tyler Gary to the race lead over Brian Mercurio. Mercurio gonna hop out, though, to the middle. Mercurio gonna fight back. He is gonna get the lead back. Oh, one car sliding. Lisenby gets shuffled out of line. He's got all out of shape, but he's gonna keep it back together. Lisenby gonna keep it straight, no caution. He's actually gonna drop back in. Oh, no, never mind. He's gonna get shuffled out here. That's gonna be a big hit to Lisenby. Back up front, though. Brian Mercurio has taken the lead over Jake Fisher. That high line now led by Warren Rosario and the 63 of Kepf. Down the back straightaway, Rosario with the lead. Going to get a run here. Big push coming from the 63. Headed towards turn 3. He is going to take the lead. Rosario out front. One thing I've noticed a lot of is a couple of cars kind of cycling to the front of the high line. Isaac, what do you make of that?
I don't know about that, but I was listening to the radio chatter there. Gary was asking if Lisenby did get hot, or sorry, Cosman did, if he got hot. It turns out he did not, but it was unclear what happened there, as we are 3 by 3 by 3.
Yeah, it's getting a little sketchy back there. Elliot Henderson threading the needle through the middle, pushing Evan Rice as well. That bright orange Camaro coming to the front in the middle line. Everyone's shuffling around as they head down the back straightaway. That inside line now led by Rosario. That outside line led by Jake Fisher.
Outside line's got numbers now going into turn 3. It's going to be that Space Station gaming car coming off turn 4 now. It looks like he's going to be trying to peak for the lead here coming across the start-finish line.
Jake Fisher, defending champion, to the lead for the first time tonight. He is looking to lead lap 10. He's going to do it over Warren Rosario. New leader out front. It's Jake Fisher. Saw Tyler Gary, though, maybe looking to split the middle between those two Mustangs. He's kind of hanging in 4th at the moment, but about to drop to 5th as Cosman gets the run on the inside line. A lot of these drivers getting very dicey up at the front, but still very clean so far. Lap 11 of 80, working it now.
I think after that last incident through the tri-oval, people are starting to calm back down again, just start getting these laps ticked down and checking that fuel situation now, starting to get a little bit more important as we're approaching lap 15.
Yeah, we're getting closer to that lap 15 mark, about 4 laps remaining. We do actually have a stage break. The top 12 are getting points at lap 25. I'm also getting word that it's Lisenby, not Lisenby, so I'll try and correct that in the future. Headed to turn 1, they're still side by side for the lead. Fisher on the outside of Rosario. That 98 car will work in the inside line with Mercurio, but that outside line going to have help. Coming down the back straightaway, Tyler Gary going to give a shove to Rosario on the outside line. They're inching ahead down the back.
Further back, Arnold Columbia coming through turn
Whoa!
2 there with peeking to the outside, as he just did there. He's going to try and form that third line, although will he have enough cars to make that run last all the way to the front? Doesn't look like it.
Yeah, and Columbia nearly turned Bell there. Bell got very sideways. Now Columbia going to be hung out to dry on the high side. Never mind, here comes help to Columbia. Meanwhile, up at the front, Jake Fisher looking to inch ahead at the line. Side by side, I believe Rosario may have led that lap, but it was very close indeed. 3 wide, that's going to be, like you said, Arnold Columbia coming up at the high line. Side by side as they go back towards turn number 1.
Middle line, sorry, further back's getting a little... Oh, we just got the 24 car in the wall. It looked like a little bit of netcode between him and Columbia as front end damage is affecting that 24 machine as he is falling back. That was Austin Moore.
3 wide at the front. Some of the Space Station gaming cars jockeying around for position. Elliot Henderson, you see him there in the middle of a 3 wide. Now the 2 Space Station cars down to the inside. Gary back to the middle. That 42 car now strung up on the high line. Single file for a large majority of the field. But now that Space Station car hopping to the high side, I believe that's Jake Fisher going up top. No, that's the 55 of Will Rogers going to the middle. 3 wide for a lot of the field. They're getting it back down to single file. Meanwhile, Columbia has moved from the top to the bottom on the inside of Pardis for the lead. Rosario clear by about a car length with Cosman Ionescu coming to his bumper. Down the back straightaway once again. That high line starting to get a bit of a run. Those Space Station gaming cars not quite as organized as I thought they would be. I figured they might be a little bit more willing to work together, but it's looking like they're just kind of fighting for their own right now. That high line once again starting to come into play with Mercurio back where he was early on in the race with a run. Fly by the field as they come down the front straightaway, coming to lap 15 of 80.
The 8 car of Jonathan Palmieri just got a little bit of the apron there coming through the tri-oval, got a little loose and lost the bumper of the 84 car. I believe that was of... I'm looking through here. Sorry, Jake Fisher. So he's going to get relinked with him coming off turn 2 as the whole field starts getting a little wiggly coming off turn 2 there. Wonder if tire degradation is starting to play a role there.
Yeah, wouldn't entirely surprise me. It can get a little bit harder to hold a line as the run goes on. But like you said, Palmieri just falling back a little bit. Now he's got to run, though, up to that bumper, the 84 of Jake Fisher. Coming off turn number 4, Warren Rosario still leading at Daytona. Cosman Ionashu coming to help. Coming to lap 16 of 80. Stage break coming up in 10 laps, but no caution. Simply points awarded to the top 12. Warren Rosario, big lead off turn number 4. That high line with Brian Mercurio leading. Will Rogers in tow. They're going to get a run here off turn 2. Tyler Gary, third on that outside line. Henderson, fourth. Here they come off turn 2 for the 16th time tonight. 3 wide in the back. Kyle Riley making that high line work with the 86 of Pacioli in tow. They're going to drop back down to 2 wide, though.
Yeah, I'd say the field's pretty calmed down now as someone jumped out 3 wide back there right as I say that. Commentator's curse. But, yeah, for the most part, these guys have chilled out a little bit and just trying to get those laps marked down and hopefully get some points at the end of the stage.
Oh, one car loose.
Again jumped onto the apron.
Yeah, Palmieri got a little bit loose there. He was able to duck back in a line, but I have a feeling that's not going to really entice people to work with him. They might be trying to get around him. Meanwhile, at the front, Rosario has done a great job leading this race. He is far and away your race leader. About to get Cosman cleared for second. Down the back straightaway, you saw Kyle Riley there that last time by, still trying to make that high line work. A little bit of a contact there in the back between the 81 and that driver on his inside. Luckily, nothing developed from that. Riley back up to the top in that 62 machine, trying to make the high line work once again. See Kyle Riley there in that bar visual 62 trying to make the high line work with the 81 of Josh Parker coming off turn number 4 for the 17th time tonight. Malillo, you see him back there on the outside of Ryan Vargas. Side by side coming to the line. Up at the front, it's Warren Rosario. But still just keeping an eye out on this 62 machine of Kyle Riley trying to make the high line work. 3 wide, they're going to get a run on Pardis here, and around they go. They might try and pick up Henderson, but we'll see if anyone else decides to jump up there. And just like I said, Elliott Henderson now up to the top. 3 wide, looks like about row 5 on back, but at the front it is still all Warren Rosario.
Yeah, Elliott Henderson jumped up there to the top line coming down the back straightaway, as that run's going to stall out coming off turn 4 here, as these guys on the inside line still just struggling to keep it straight coming off corner exit.
Yeah, I see a couple of guys dipping down onto that apron. Meanwhile, the 81 of Parker has fallen off that high line, so it's just Riley and Henderson. He's going to go back up there to help him out once again, though. Rosario leading. That's going to be Mercurio. Oh, car on the wall! And they're spinning. They all kept it straight. Gabe Herschel involved. Still spinning. He's going to keep it straight still. Great save by all involved. Jonathan Bell, one of the drivers who got up at the outside wall, but everybody keeps it straight. We stay green. And going to 3, that high line is moving up.
I think that was Arnold Columbia who kind of kick-started that chain reaction, though I can't be sure on that.
Off turn 4, Rosario still leading. Mercurio has been trying to make that high line work, but Will Rogers not being too helpful in that. Now that high line once again, 3 wide up top, trying to get a run here. They're getting closer to that lead. They might be able to get it here. That high line's definitely working a lot better than I thought it would. They've got Columbia to help. They're making really good work up there. That 2-car, purple car tandem really getting a nice run.
5 to go to the end of the stage. You can see just how much these stage points mean to these drivers as they're trying to get anything they can, because the championship is going to be hyper competitive this year, and they're just going to try and need anything they can to get an advantage over these other drivers.
Up at the front for the first time tonight, second time tonight, Brian Mercurio has actually got a run here on the leaders, trying to take it from the outside line with a push from Will Rogers. Now 3 cars up at the top, bit of a breakaway up front. That second pack being led at the moment by the 81 of Parker, but Austin Moore the one really leading the draft. Up at the front, it's still Rosario over Cosman, but here comes Mercurio on the high line, that third lane fizzling out. Riley actually just went from the top all the way to the bottom to pick up that driver behind him. That's going to be Riley and Acumano. Off turn 2 now, Warren Rosario still leading, but big push coming from Cosman, that 84 of Jake Fisher in tow as well. That high line still trying to make it work though. Seems like that bottom line has really maybe gotten rubbered in, gained a lot more grip because it's definitely been going faster than it was earlier in the race. 5 to go, coming to 4 to go in the end of the stage.
Yeah, that third line is completely fizzled out there as everyone either ditched it to go all the way to the bottom or to the middle line, now the high line, as these guys are coming to 3 to go this time by to the stage.
Lap car going to be in the way up front. Oh, and that's going to be Justin Lisenby, who is having such a great run going on. But because there hasn't been a caution since he almost spun in the tri-oval, he has not been able to get that track position back. So it's going to be Rosario coming around to lap him there. Luckily, double file, things can get a little bit sketchy when you've got 3 wide and a lapped car. But it looks, hopefully Lisenby is going to keep it on the apron, or going to stay right in the middle of the track. This could get a little sketchy. Lisenby going to go high. Looks like he's committed to that line. So they're going to be able to breeze by him here on the inside. Might get a little bit sketchy for a few drivers stuck in the middle, but for the most part, it's going to be clean. Warren Rosario not having any issues lapping that 31 car. 2 to go in the stage now, or sorry, 3 to go in the stage now. Side by side for the lead. Still, Cosman still pushing that 98 on the inside.
It's going to be interesting to see if the high line can mount a charge here in these dwindling laps of this first stage, or if they're just going to be content to sit there.
Yeah, everyone might start to jump out of line just a little bit, trying to get those stage points. Every point's going to matter in a championship as close as this one. But that 48 car of Cosman Ionescu still coming on the inside line. But now Mercurio's actually got a run on the high side. He's got a big push coming from Will Rogers. Let's see what they can do here off turn 4. Mercurio going to try and get a run alongside with Rosario. He might actually lead this lap. Mercurio coming on the high line. They're shuffling around in the back. No, Rosario still keeps that spot. Back to turns 1 and 2. Rosario, he's been dominant these past few laps. I mean, really, he's just got a... I mean, if this wasn't a fixed setup race, I'd say he's got a better car than everyone else, but he might just be able to control that line a lot better than the guys who were leading it before him. Down the back straightaway, Rosario moving around just a little bit. Same with Cosman. Those 2 space station cars right now side by side coming to the last lap in the stage. Side by side for the lead for the first time tonight. Mercurio actually going to get a big run on the high line, trying to take the lead the same way he did early on. Going to get a run here off turn 4, coming to the white flag in the stage. Remember, no caution, just bonus points on the line. 1 to go in the stage. It's Rosario over Mercurio, Cosman in 3rd, Rogers in 4th, 2nd on the outside line. Lap 25 underway. Headed through turns 1 and 2. Rosario in the lead, Mercurio on the high line. Tyler Gary coming to push as well. That inside line fizzling out. Fisher falling back. That 8 car falling back as well. Back on the high line. Here comes Rosario leading, but Mercurio coming on the high line with a run. Rogers going to push. Here they come down the back. A little bit of bumping and banging going on. Trying to get as many points as they can. They're going to be side by side off turn 4. Brian Mercurio looking to charge up a run. Rosario looking to hold strong on the inside. Coming to the end of the stage. Here comes Mercurio with a run. Is he going to get it at the line? No. Rosario holds on, wins stage 1. No caution. We stay green. But the most bonus points going to go to Rosario. So far, 26 or 25 laps completed. And all of them have been green flag.
I think that's just a testament to these drivers and how skillful they really are. These guys have been able to almost wreck but keep it straight and not have any cars really too terribly damaged to not be able to resume racing here and or go under caution, as we got...
Yeah, Mercurio jumping to the bottom there. Will Rogers gave him the push he needed, but now Rogers going to be strung out on the high line with Gary coming to push. We've got Rogers, Gary, and Pardis. That's going to be a dangerous combination on the high line, trying to get a run here coming to lap 27.
Now, if you're Tyler Gary in this situation, do you just sit content pushing the 55, or are you going to try and jump out and lead this thing?
At this moment, if I'm Tyler Gary, I'm going to stay back there and push that 69 or 55, however you want to look at it, of Will Rogers. I mean, I just don't think it's worth it to take it 3 wide for the lead on lap 27. You know, maybe if we get into the second half of the race, I'd consider it more, but I mean, really, right around now when there's a chance that you could stay 3 wide up to green flag pit stops, and that could get really messy. I mean, right now, I just kind of be content riding. But as you see, I don't think that Mercurio is doing a good job leading that inside line, because that 69 of Will Rogers just jumped in from the high line, leaving Gary alone up top with Pardis coming to push. Off turn 4, coming through the tri-oval now. It'll be Tyler Gary. No. Oh, yes. Tyler Gary at the stripe. He's on the outside line trying to take the lead from Will Rogers. Those two side by side for the lead. Another lap car coming up. That's going to be, I believe, Jonathan Bell, who hit the wall earlier on under green.
Got another lapped car in the distance that might
that's going to be
a new variable in this race.
Yeah, it's going to be Jonathan Bell, but I believe he's going to keep it up at the high line, not going to pose an issue for the race leaders. That 42 car as well, Evan Rice, haven't talked about him much, but he's got a bit of a run forming on the high line with Elliot Henderson in tow. Preston Pardis pushing the 26, who is right now leading the outside line. Will Rogers still in control of this race so far. We haven't seen too many blocks going up to the high line. But Tyler Gary going to use that to his advantage. Going to be side by side with Rogers through 1 and 2. Preston Pardis on the high line as well, trying to give a run here to Will Rogers. Run coming on the high side, maybe, maybe not. Back to you, Isaac.
Gary's going to have a push here coming down the back straightaway and coming into turn 3. He might be able to clear him.
Yeah, he's got a big push coming from Preston Pardis. Pardis, he knows his way around a track like Daytona. The MX-5 Challenge, the real-life one, came to Daytona just a few weeks ago. Pardis nearly won that race and then got shuffled out of line on the last lap, but now he's got a chance at redemption in one of the biggest virtual racing scenes in iRacing. Side by side coming to the line, it's Rogers over Gary, over Mercurio, over Pardis. Pardis hopping up high, trying to make a third line work, but Evan Rice going to say no, thank you, sir. Takes it down the inside, and Rogers going to hop out of line.
Unfortunate for Rogers, although I'm pretty sure he's going to be able to...
Or sorry, not Rogers, that's Pardis. I meant to say Preston Pardis. Yeah, sorry. Rogers is fine. Rogers is leading the race. It's Preston Pardis who's getting shuffled out up top.
He'll be back up front.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. It's pretty easy to make your way through the field at Daytona if you know what you're doing and if you've got a good partner. And, I mean, Preston Pardis is very well liked in NASCAR, so it wouldn't surprise me if there are plenty of people looking to work with him. Off turn 4, Will Rogers leading away over Mercurio and Gary. Gary trying to form a run with Evan Rice on the high line. He's pulled even with second. He's got a run at the lead. Evan Rice on that high line with Henderson in tow. Those two worked together a little bit earlier in the race. Now those positions have swapped, and they are nose to tail headed through turn number 1, but it's Gary in front of them, leading the charge of that outside line. We've gone green so far, 31 laps down.
It's a dead heat between Rogers and Gary going down the back straightaway, going into turn 3. Gary's going to have just barely a car length in front of Rogers, as that's going to die off on corner entry to the outside line, being a longer way around, but he's going to gain that back on the entry to turn 1, just because he's going to have a way bigger run. Yeah, but he got a little bit loose there off turn 4. He saw a little bit of a wiggle, and that's going to allow Rogers to be clear in the lead with Mercurio in tow. Working lap 32 now. It's Rogers over Gary, who was pulled even going into turn 1. We'll see what he can do here off 2. It's Evan Rice still trying to push that high line to the race lead. Henderson in tow of them both. We've got a Supra, a Chevy, and a Supra on the high line with three Mustangs dialed in on the low line. Tyler Gary cleared for the race lead with Evan Rice in tow. Is he going to drop down to the bottom? Yes, he will. New leader, Tyler Gary. The cycle continues. The outside line always gets one car ahead of the bottom, and then that's your new leader for a few laps, and then it just happens again. Highline might not take too long this time by. Evan Rice got a huge run off turn 4. It's going to continue out of the tri-oval. Evan Rice at the line, going to lead that lap. Great move by Evan Rice to just kind of stay up there and stay with Elliot Henderson. They were able to get a really nice run off turn 4. We'll see if they can repeat it off turn 2. Lap car coming up into the mix. That is going to be... I can't tell. That might be Josh Parker. Yes, it is. So Josh Parker coming in the mix here. He led early on, lost the draft, and now he is going to be put a lap down by your race leader, Tyler Gary, with Evan Rice on the high line. This just popped into my mind. We're on lap 33. We're going to be looking at this fuel window for some of these guys coming into the next couple of laps. It'll be interesting to see if someone tries to short pit or if they try and run it out.
Yeah, I mean, I have a feeling short pitting isn't going to work unless you've got a teammate to work with, and there they go into the pit lane. Down into the pit lane they go. Preston Pardis among them. A lot of drivers bringing it in this time by. Looks like everyone brought it in cleanly. Maybe a few speeding penalties, but into the pit lane they go. Right now taking a look at the 86 Apacheoli who brought it in. The leader of the drivers pitting, I believe, was... We're trying to find him now. Will Rogers bringing it into the pit lane with that number 55 Mustang. Mercurio brought it in as well. Looks like right side tires and fuel for these drivers. They might be down and away after 2. They're going for 4 now. Might be a little bit of a risky call. Meanwhile, the rest of the field is single filed out. Evan Rice over Henderson over Gary. They might be bringing it in this time by Isaac. I'm not sure if you've heard anything on the radios.
Henderson calling it in this time by.
Henderson diving in, a little bit of speed. Oh, he's going to get it slowed down plenty in time, though. Nice and safe for Elliott Henderson is going to cost him a little bit of track position. A couple of guys locking up, but for the most part, everyone making it in cleanly. I'm very impressed with that a lot of times. That's actually when you see the first caution of the race. And Ryan Vargas nearly missed his box, but he made it in. Evan Rice, now your race leader in a 2-car tandem with Tyler Gary. It's Elliott Henderson leading the second group into the pits. Cosman Ionescu in the box as well. I don't know if any of them are going to get a penalty. I know Cosman brought it in a little bit hotter than he might have liked. It's going to be 2 tires. And left side's not going up for Cosman. Now he's down and away. Cosman going to be out with Lizen B and the 09 coming out as well. Now Tyler Gary and Evan Rice going to bring it off turn number 4. We'll see if they bring it in this time by. Rice diving in with Gary. Gary going a little hot, though. We'll see if he can make it in. He's not even going to need to lock it up. Smooth into the pits for Tyler Gary and Evan Rice. Kyle Riley bringing it in with that group as well. Gabe Herschel in the 07 Space Station Mustang bringing it in to the pit lane. Pretty much everyone...
Oh, we got him wrecking coming out of the pits.
Oh, trouble! Not sure who it is around. Couple of cars maybe going around. Isaac, who was it?
I'm still looking.
No caution. We're staying green at the moment. The battle up front. Right now, the leaders are all in the pit lane. Cosman Ionescu. Right now, the leader on track. Michael Riggs in tow. Here comes the high line. Will Rogers storming to the race lead with the 41 of Mercurio. New leader at the line. It's Will Rogers.
I can't find who it was, but it was just a 1-car spin coming out of the pits. Looks like 2 people got a little too aggressive towards that blue cone. Someone backed out of it and unfortunately parked the other.
Isaac, I want to bring your attention up front. There's a couple of cars coming out of the pit lane led by Tyler Gary, but that high line coming strong as well. A bit of a pack at the front. They're going to be moving up, letting some guys in. Ionescu lead second in that inside line, but at the front, Tyler Gary with a beautiful pit stop. Going to have a lead right now with Evan Rice, but here comes Will Rogers leading the main pack, storming after Gary and Rice. It's not going to be close. Will Rogers storming to the lead with Ionescu.
Gary's going to be in this pack, though, so he's going to be able to come back through and charge through the lead again. That was a really good pit stop on those 2. And this fuel cycle in general has been kind of chaotic as... Whoa!
Whoa, big block coming from Rogers, moving up top to cover up Mitchell Riggs. We got a caution. A couple of spinners on track around Tristan Hagenstein. Looks like it might have been Gabe Herschel. A couple of cars slowing down, but our first caution of the night on lap 37. Trouble for a couple of drivers in the midfield. It all started around Kyle Riley by the looks of things. But our first caution of the night, almost halfway into the race. Your race leader at the time of caution was Will Rogers. Let's take a look at a replay. I noticed it happened around Gabe Herschel and Kyle Riley. It might have been here with this big pack. I can't really tell what it was.
Must have been bad. Riley just came over the radio and said it must have been one of the dumbest things I've done in a while.
Oh, Riley, what are you doing? Oh, no. Oh, God, that was bad. Riley just kind of slid up the track, tagged Vargas, and flipped him over through the tri-oval. Man, I love you, Kyle, but he's right. That's one of the dumbest things I've seen in a while. But it's all right. We all have those issues sometimes, but unfortunately, Ryan Vargas is going to get the bad end of that, missing a hood after that one. We're going to look at it one more time, and yeah, just Kyle Riley slid up the track in the tri-oval and watch Vargas. Oh, man.
Just cleared himself.
I don't know if he cleared himself or just didn't even realize Vargas was there, but they're going to clip the grass. Vargas going to flip it over. That Swan Chevrolet going on its lid. Luckily was able to flip it back over, not going to need to tow. But But a very costly mistake for Kyle Riley, going to cost Vargas the most. Caution is out for the first time tonight.
Vargas is done. He just DC'd.
Unfortunate for one of the bigger names in this field. Started a lap down and now out of the race. And, yeah, I mean, really not too much analysis needed to go on there. Mostly on Kyle Riley. So, lights are out of the pace car. Which means that we are under caution for the first time tonight. Now, this makes me a little bit curious, Isaac. They pitted around lap 37, which means that they're not going to be able to go to the end of the race on fuel, which is being demonstrated right here as everyone bring it in for a top off of Sunoco fuel. Let's see if anyone decides to not take tires and get the lead out of the pit lane. I'm guessing that's going to be the call for most of these drivers. Isaac, you hearing anything on the radio? Isaac. Well, we lost Isaac. But Will Rogers in for a splash of fuel. He's down and away. Cosmo Ionescu actually going to beat him out of the pit lane. No, Rogers actually winning off pit road. Nah, I take that back again. Cosmo Ionescu going to take the lead out of the pit lane. Isaac, you there?
Hello? Push to talk stopped working. Sorry about that.
Nah. Well, like I said, we're under caution. I was just asking if you heard anything over the radios about strategy.
Not much. It was mainly discussion over what happened there to bring out that caution.
Yeah. I mean, that was pretty much on Kyle Riley, but I think we've all done stuff like that before, so... I mean, as much as it's fun to make jokes about it, I mean, I think we've all done something stupid like that before. Meanwhile, Cosman might be lining up to take the bus stop here. I've seen that happen a few times. No, he's just going to keep it on the apron, maybe trying to conserve fuel. But like I mentioned earlier, we could end up with a fuel mileage race at Daytona because they were able to bring it in at lap 37. They're not going to be able to make it to lap 80 if they have to go that green again. Just doing some quick math here. 37 plus 37 is, and I'm checking out, 74, yeah. So they're going to be about 7 laps short on fuel, but with this caution, that might spice things up a little. So we might end up with a fuel mileage dash to the finish like we saw in the 2017 Daytona 500, which I would not be opposed to at all. Isaac, your thoughts on strategy?
I don't know. You know, these guys are gonna be looking at a mixed bag here. I think a couple cars might have stayed out and managed to stretch it to that caution, but I can't be sure on that. Although I am almost confident everyone here did top off on some Sunoco racing fuel, and gonna be saving as much as they can under this caution to try and make that fuel tank last a little bit longer.
Should see your running order at the top of your screen now. Lights are out on the pace car. We're going to go back to a ticker in just a moment. But in case you were wondering on where everyone was running, you see a little bit of shuffling throughout the pack. A couple of notables. Partis 24th, Hagenstein riddled in the back of the pack as well. You see Cosman kind of riding the apron, trying to save as much fuel as possible. But right there is your leader, Cosman Ionescu, for the first time tonight. That 84 is in the lead. You see, I think people might have been listening into the broadcast, Isaac, because everyone right now kind of riding around on the apron, trying to shortcut the track as much as possible. We're going to be coming back to green this time by.
Yeah, I'm just listening to some more chatter over the radio. Just not a whole lot. Just mainly conversations of what happened on that run, what people can improve. Just not a whole lot of super critical information being passed around right now.
Yeah, so for the most part, just a little bit of discussion. We're going to get it back green this time by. It'll be Cosman Ionescu taking the green when they come to the start-finish line. Here we go for the green flag in the VSCRA season opener. Once again, just about halfway through this race. We're going to get him back going with 40 laps remaining on what might be a less than 40 lap fuel run. Ionescu leading, Rogers in second. Here we go.
Lights are out on that pace car. It's going to make a left-hand turn down to the pit road and leave this start in control of your leader. As we are now rolling.
Here we go.
Green flag racing once again.
Green flag is back out. Cosman Ionescu going to take the green here at Daytona. 40 laps remaining here in the VSCRA season opener. Ionescu leading him down towards turn number 1 with Mercurio in tow. Rogers on that high line, going to fall back just a little bit. We are back green, up to speed now at Daytona, rolling through turns 1 and 2. Still trying to get this scrolling ticker figured out. I haven't used it so far, but I figured you guys might want a little bit of a change of scenery on the broadcast. Cosman leading him down towards turns 3 and 4 fully. Up to speed now is the field. Brian Mercurio in tow. Warren Rosario in third, making that inside line work. Now here comes Elliot Henderson on the inside line with Rosario in front of him. Back to the front straightaway now, coming to 39 laps to go. And at this point, Isaac, it might be go time for some of these drivers.
Yeah, it might be. I was just listening to the radio right now. Cosman's talking about how he can't see his gauges on his dash. He's not used to the Toyota Supra in the Xfinity Series car. However, he is talking about how the steering wheel actually blocks most of his gauges and was having a hard time seeing what he was trying to find on this dash.
Well, you know what? Thanks to iRacing, we can actually take a look at exactly what he's looking at going down the back straightaway here. And that might just be his FOV because I can see everything just fine. Oh, wait, that's not him. There we go. Oh, yeah, now I see what I mean. Yeah, definitely a couple of blocked gauges there, and that might be a little bit tricky when you're pushing someone, trying to keep an eye on your oil temperatures. But for the lead, Brian Mercurio joining up with another Ford on the high line, going to get the run off turn 4. It's getting sketchy in the back, couple of guys getting pinched up to the wall, but we're going to keep it clean. Mercurio going to lead at the line.
Mercurio actually had a little bit of a gap there to jump down into the inside line. I wonder if he's staying... Oh, never mind.
There he goes. Well, I am wondering if some of these drivers might try and make that higher line work because, like you said earlier on, I mean, what we've noticed is that a lot of these guys get big runs off the high line, they drop low, and the same thing happens again and again, and we basically just get a cycle of leaders. So I wonder if anyone's going to start to pick up on that and try and run the middle line.
I think a lot of these drivers are going to want to lead some laps here, and the inside line's usually first at the line, and everyone knows you want to be there at the last lap of the race. If you're just barely behind on the outside line, it's just even more just a slap in the face if you do lose such a narrow margin.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, really, if you can make it into the lead pack by the end of the race at a track like Daytona, you've succeeded. You've done all you can. You know, at that point, a lot of it is just going to be up to fate. Going back through turns 1 and 2 now. Mercurio leading over Will Rogers on the outside. Cosman pushing the inside line. Lap 44 of 80. New to the high line, by the way, is that 39 of Arnold Columbia, giving a big push to the 55, going down the back straightaway. That 09 trying to make it 3 wide up top. Mitchell Riggs trying to make his own line work. Gary going to go ahead and join him. Like I said, it might start to be crunch time here as that 09 and 26 combo are headed to the front. Take a look at this big run off turn 4 for Riggs in the 09. Gary in tow. Back to the front straightaway now. Tyler Gary shoving that 09. They're going to get a run through the tri-oval. Working lap 45 now as they head back towards turns 1 and 2. Columbia getting a little out of shape in the middle. Isaac, over to you.
Yeah, it's just one of these things right now we're going to be watching for is how closely these pushers are pushing. I've just been notified that Cosman almost blew up a while ago just because he was pushing so hard and didn't let that engine breathe. So that's going to be something we're going to need to keep an eye out for as these guys are starting to get a run on the high side.
Yeah, take a look at this. That 09 moving to the front. Big push from Gary. That high line might be starting to come in now as that inside lane's been rubbered up. I know that doesn't entirely work on V7, but I can dream. That high line coming to the front. Tyler Gary, big push to the 07. It's a 2-car tandem, but they're making it work. 3 wide for the lead, lap 46.
Yeah, that outside line's starting to drop some of its momentum there as a couple cars it looked like jumped out of there as the inside line starting to get a little squirrely now as they're coming off turn 2.
Down the back straightaway for the 46th time tonight. Brian Mercurio in control. Will Rogers coming through the middle. That high line fizzling out just a little bit. We're going to go ahead and switch the tickers over one more time. Headed to turn 3 now. Will Rogers in the middle, going to take the lead. Oh my goodness, that 39 car leaning on Mitchell Riggs in the middle of the racetrack. That could have gotten very dangerous indeed.
Yeah, Tyler Gary was just talking about him on the radio. He doesn't know if he wants to stay behind him or away from him.
And he just dropped out. Tyler Gary to the middle. That 09 coming to the back. Brian Mercurio now in control. So far, no one really been able to make that third line work. Down the back straightaway, that middle line, looking at another run. Will Rogers trying to get a big push here from, I believe that's Arnold Columbia behind. One car blinking out in the bottom. See if any radio chatter about that. Headed towards turn 3 now. Will Rogers in the middle trying to make a move. maybe just trying to get a bigger run here, trying to wind it up. Those Space Station Gaming cars separated by Arnold Columbia now. So we'll see if they decide to try and work together.
Yeah, you can tell these guys are starting getting hot. You can see everyone behind the leading car jutting out, trying to find a little bit of clean air and getting that radiator and cool that motor off.
Yeah, you can only push for so hard for so long. Brian Mercurio leading Cosman in second. That high line really still trying to charge up that run. They haven't been able to get anything going yet. And Warren Rosario, we talked about him a little bit earlier on in the showing, but he's got a bit of a run off too here. We'll see if he maybe tries to split the middle. There's just about enough space there for a car.
Cosman with a big push coming down the back straightaway. Better watch that water temperature going down in turn 3 here.
Yeah.
Back off a tiny bit and get some more fresh air, just barely getting his radiator grill open on the bottom end.
Yeah, I mean, when you can't see your gauges like that, it can be very, very difficult to keep an eye out on that water temperature. You don't really have a crew chief telling you to watch for your temperatures or anything like that, especially not if you're running on your own. Going down towards turn 1 and 2, once again, Cosman still locked onto the bumper of that 41 car. We are coming closer and closer to 30 laps to go, and as the laps tick down, the intensity is going to be kicking up. I know a lot of these guys might just be wishing for a caution so they can be safe on fuel. Meanwhile, Cosman's got a gap to the outside. We'll see if he tries to make it to the high side here. He might be able to jump up off too if he really wants to go for that lead. Still Mercurio in control.
Keep in mind, we went green flag racing again at lap 40, so last time around we saw these guys start to pit around lap 33, so these guys are just going to be barely short on fuel here. So it's going to be very interesting to see if somebody tries to stay out and just coast.
Yeah, I mean, with my timing and scoring software, one thing that's really nice about it is that I can actually keep an eye out for how long they've been on their stints, and most of these guys have been on their stints for about 11 laps because they all decided to come in under that last caution. But even then, they still might not make it to the end, so it's going to be very close once we get down to the end of this race, given that we don't get another caution, which at Daytona is always a possibility. Will Rogers back up to him on the high line, trying to charge up a run with Arnold Columbia, but I think like we've seen, Columbia not exactly the best pusher. He's been moving around quite a bit. In other news, the sun is starting to set here at Daytona. With 30 laps to go, we might see the lights come on.
Track temps are going to drop as well. These cars are going to get a little bit better handling because of that, but Arnold Columbia, man, he's just trying his hardest to keep that thing in line, but he's just struggling.
Yeah, I mean, it can definitely be difficult to hold a line at Daytona. It's a lot more difficult than it might seem. Now, a little bit of separation between those inside cars. We'll see if anyone's able to get a run here. If I was Cosman, if I can't see my gauges, I'd want to get to the lead as fast as possible. Right now, he's got a chance to jump up to the high line and use that run to get to the race lead. However, I'm not sure if he wants to be that aggressive just yet. 30 laps to go, Columbia! Whoa! Big save out of the 39. It won't even shuffle him out of line. He's going to be able to keep it straight, but that's going to build just a little bit more separation between these cars.
That killed the top line's run entirely.
Yeah, we've got about 3 clear on the inside now. Columbia got really loose headed to turn 3. This also gives the opportunity for Rosario here in the middle of 1 and 2 to hop up to the high line and see if it's going to help him get the lead back. With just under 30 laps to go, people might start to consider being a little bit more aggressive. Isaac, your thoughts on it?
I mean, we're lap 52 of 80. I don't think it's go time yet till at least the last 7 laps, so I don't know what their plan is, but it's obviously different from mine.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, they're only side by side in row 3. The top 2 at the moment are clear, and like I said, if I'm Cosman, I'm hopping out of line as quickly as possible to try and get clean air on my car and try and get a run to the lead. There's a little bit of a breakaway now in the front pack. I count about 16 or 17 cars. 3 wide, by the way. That high line looking to come in once again. Never mind, it's going to fizzle out. Palmieri going to be strung out on the high line. Now that middle line starting to fall back just a little bit, not quite making up the ground that they were earlier in this race. Off 2, down the back, it's Mercurio in control.
Quick note, further on back, Gary and Evan Rice are linked up again. We've seen those two work really well together, so it's going to be very interesting if a top line does form up again, if those two are going to be the ones spearheading it. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, we've noticed that 2-car tandems can really make it work on the high line. If you were watching at the FTF 500, I believe it was Caden Rush and one other driver, they were able to make a 2-car tandem work on the high line. Now, obviously, that was in a different car, but I think it's a similar principle that applies here. When you have less cars, you might be a little bit less fast, but you also have a lot less guys to check you up. So I'm thinking that if these guys move to the high line with just a 2 or 3 car pack, they might be able to make it work.
As Gary through the tri-oval did peek out to the third line there, didn't actually commit to it, but hey, he's looking.
Yeah, Gary might be looking at a run with Evan Rice in tow. Down the back straightaway, Mercurio leading, 54 of 80 laps completed. The track also starting to fog up just a little bit, which is going to affect the track temperatures as well. You can see if we switch to a TV3 camera here a little bit further away, the visibility just a little bit impacted, so that's going to cool the track just a little bit more.
Columbia jumping out of line again. I think his temps are starting to creep up a little higher than he wants them there. He's just trying to, again, get more fresh air in that radiator to cool that motor off.
And we saw one car moving around to the back. That's the 09 of Mitchell Riggs moving to the middle with Gary and Rice. He might notice those two cars maybe starting to look around just a little bit. Lap 55 of 80 underway. So far, pretty stagnant at the front of the field. On the apron now, that 20 of Peter Acumano nearly might have gotten it loose there. In other news, never mind. It looks like that 81 car is still a lap down. I thought for a second Josh Parker might have gotten it back on the lead lap, but I can confirm now that he did not.
Cosman was jumping on the apron coming off too there. I wonder if his temps were just getting so bad he needed to almost come completely off the racetrack to get more fresh air in that Toyota Supra to cool that motor off as they're coming on strong again, coming off turn 4.
Yeah, that high line just got a big run there as Cosman ducked out of line. Will Rogers going to get a run off turn 4 with Arnold Columbia in tow. Back to turn 1. It'll be side by side for the lead between Mercurio and Rogers. Off turn, or through turns 3 and 4, or 1 and 2, the Suns, okay, hold on, let me try that again. Through turns 1 and 2, it's Rogers with the run on the high line. The sun's starting to set at Daytona, 25 laps remaining from the World Center of Racing. Look at this run here, coming on the high line. Will Rogers with Columbia in tow. They're going to get a big tow here off turns 3 and 4. Coming to the start-finish straight once again. Will Rogers run on the high line. He's going to take the lead back from Mercurio at the line. The 55 in control.
Looks like the sun just poked through a cloud again. That's going to start increasing the track temps again and make this track a little bit slicker and harder to handle for some of these guys.
Yeah, that shadow in 1 and 2 going to cool it down. They might be able to move out just a little bit on the entrance there with a little bit more confidence than in 3 and 4, but when you have this much grip at a track like this, it might not make too much of a difference. Down the back straightaway, that high line still has a run. Will Rogers in control. Columbia in second on the high line. Jake Fisher, haven't talked about him in a while. He's got a run coming as well. Off turn 4, Mercurio back in the lead. Ionescu in second. Rogers on the high line. First car up there. Ionescu back on the inside. Hasn't poked out in quite a bit. Columbia on the high line trying to give a push to the 55. The 98 on the inside. Side by side throughout the majority of the field. Still no one trying to make the high line work.
I don't think these guys are going to be able to make it on fuel.
Yeah, I mean, they're going pretty hard right now, and if a caution doesn't come out, they're going to have to pit one more time. Off turn 4, down the back straightaway. Or sorry, off turn 2, down the back straightaway. Brian Mercurio leading. Rogers still trying to make the high line work. Columbia and Fisher starting to work together to push that 55 on the high line.
Of note, further back, the JDR graphics cars are back up together. JD Larid has a little bit of front end damage, though, on that JDR Camaro, so I'm going to be very keen to see if those guys are going to be able to just tough it out on the back and hopefully come out and try and win this thing.
Yeah, 3 wide in the back for a moment. I believe that's Gabe Herschel in the middle. Herschel was able to avoid that wreck early on. Has been pretty much in the back for a majority of this race. Back up front, Brian Mercurio leading. Off turn 2, once again, Ionescu still in tow. Rogers starting to fall back on the high line. Double file throughout the entirety of the field with a couple of cars falling off. Just inside 23 laps remaining. That high line once again starting to mount a charge.
Gary and Rice linked up together.
Oh, and that's going to be dangerous for the field. They're actually, it looks like they're about the 3rd car on that outside lane. So we'll see if they decide to, oh, they're wrecking. Will Rogers around in front of the field. They're crashing. Cosman involved. Caution is out. The big one striking at Daytona. Pacioli sideways. The 51 involved. Huge crash on the front straightaway. Caution is out. That'll be the second caution of the night. Inside 25 laps to go. They'll be able to make it on fuel now. Mercurio and Gary, the top two at the time of caution, and that just took out a lot of fast cars. Cosman involved as well, one of the fan favorites. Might have just been a bump draft gone wrong.
No, it was,
Looks like it all started around Will Rogers. We'll take a look at a replay. By that point, they were already wrecking, so we'll look back one more time.
Columbia cleared himself.
And Arnold Columbia, he's been a little bit dangerous all night. Looks like he may have just set off a wreck. Looking at the 39. Yeah, at that point, they already started going around. I'm going to try and find the 39 of Columbia on my timing and scoring here. For some reason, he is eluding me. It'll be easier to look at the wreck once I... Actually, you know what? We'll just get Will here, and we'll take a look at another replay. You're going to see it here coming off turn 4. Like you said, it might have just been Columbia clearing himself. I have a feeling they're not going to be... Oh, yeah. He just hooked Cosman into Rogers, and around they went. At that point, I think they were just in front of the field. You can see Evan Rice scrambling to avoid it. Plows into that guy on the inside. Nearly flips the 86 over. For the most part, actually, a lot of drivers are able to avoid it. You see Preston Partis taken to the grass. Oh, Elliot Henderson involved as well. The front end gone on that pink 37. The 21 around Justin Melillo taking to the grass to get through it. The 23 JDR Graphics Camaro involved as well. But a big crash going to take out a lot of big names here at Daytona. We'll have one more look at it.
Might want to get an onboard.
Can try and go on board with the 39, although I still can't find him. Yeah, you're going to see right there, Cosman gets hooked. Rogers into the wall. It's on from there. The 42 slides down into the 86, popping him up into the air. Everyone's plowing in behind. Melillo through the grass. We'll try and go on board with Columbia.
Try and go on board with Cosman.
That'd probably be a better look at it as well. Cosman... Oh, actually, Columbia... So, I don't know. Take this however you will. Columbia escaped from the wreck without a blown motor or anything like that. We can try and go ahead and go on board with him. Maybe it looked like he was clear from his camera view. Here, we'll pause it here. I just want to make sure that I can actually get Columbia up. Everyone's kind of moving around on the timing screen, but I found him. Here we go. We can go ahead and go on board with him. Off turn 4, you're just going to see him hook the 48. Columbia to the high side. He's going to come down. Maybe he got loose or something, but that definitely looks pretty bad from Columbia's view. They're going to pile into the wall, and a lot of the wreck happened, everyone trying to avoid it. But Columbia...
That tore up a lot of cars.
Yeah, and mainly Will Rogers, who was making a lot of good charges on the high line, got taken out. One more driver that I want to have a look at, Justin Melillo in the 53, made a very good wreck avoidance taking it to the grass. I'm going to try and go on board with him, although once again he's kind of lost in the timing and scoring here. I can't really show you guys what I mean, but there's just like a list of names and numbers, so it can be difficult to find exactly who I'm looking for. Here we go, Justin Melillo in that number 53. For some reason it switches it around. Alright, here we go. And it still switches it to the 20 car. Alright, so ATVO is not being my friend tonight. Here we go.
Yeah, we have a pretty heated radio chatter right now.
I'm going to guess that most people aren't too happy with Columbia.
No, not at all.
So here they come through the trial, and you're going to see right here the wreck happens in front of Justin. He's going to take to the grass, checks up, right through the grass. Nice and clean with no damage. That UFI Mustang making it through. So back live, the lights are, I believe, out of the pace car, so we're doubling up for the restart. Justin Bland has actually worked his way into third. So he's actually made his way all the way through the field. We pretty much said earlier on that he was pretty far back. But Bland up at a third, Mercurio in the lead. We're going to restart this time by, new to the top 10 as well, as Justin Melillo restarting in 7th. But notable drivers out of the race or out of contention. Cosman Iannishu picking up damage. Arnold Columbia, he was pretty much driving pretty dangerously for a large majority of that race, but he's going to be mired back in traffic. And Will Rogers with a lot of damage at the back. It's going to take a miracle to get him back in contention.
Well, I said it at the start of this race. Tyler Gary's going to be the one who's going to try and win this thing. And look where he is, outside pole right now, coming to the final, hopefully the final restart.
Yeah,
I
and
might
he,
have just missed that.
yeah, I mean, he likes that high line. We're going to have 18 laps to go. Like I said, they can make it on fuel. It's going to be low line racing on the inside. Tyler Gary on the high side. Restart at Daytona with 17 laps to go. So everybody doubling up behind the pace car now. No more fuel saving necessary, and I've got a feeling it might get a little bit sketchy from here until the end. The VSCRA season opener coming down to a 17-lap shootout, given that we don't get more cautions between it now and then. Mercurio, he's been the class of the field all night. He'll be looking to hang on. Through the tri-oval now, pace car is in. Here we come back to green. Green flag is back out. Mercurio leading him back.
Outside line struggled to get up to speed. There's a pretty big gap formed on the outside line.
Yeah, 5-car breakaway at the moment with Lisenby back inside the top 5. He's fought his way back from being a lap down to back inside the top 5, currently up to 4th. Now Malillo coming with a big head of steam on the inside, nearly turning the 09 who tried to come down in front of him. That hole closed up pretty quickly. Speaking of holes closing up, take a look at that behind the 8-car of Jonathan Palmieri ducking down from the high line, side by side for the lead. Mercurio on the inside. On the outside, Justin Bland going to take the lead away with Tyler Gary.
Well, that just goes to show how big the run is coming off the corner for the outside line, as they were able to almost take the lead there from a 5-car deficit. Justin won straight away.
Yeah, Justin Bland coming to the high side. Tyler Gary, we know how good of a pusher he can be. He's going to be on that high line helping out the 65's charge. 16 laps remaining from Daytona. A third line starting to form in the back, but it's going to duck back down to 2 wide. Mercurio losing the run on the inside. It's the Chevrolet of Justin Bland leading him on the high side. Tyler Gary all over the bumper of the 65 off turn 2 down the back.
Interesting tidbit there going down into 1. Gary called Justin to drop, but he couldn't, so I don't know if he's running out of temps as he drops down there.
Yeah, I mean, that might be it. Justin Bland now clear of Mercurio. He has taken the lead. The sun continuing to set at Daytona. Isaac, we're coming up on 15 laps to go. Who's looking strong?
I mean, off the rip, Gary, obviously, because he's been up front for most of this race. But further on back, I mean, we can look at Justin Lisenby. He's still in contention here. Justin Malillo, Jake Fisher, all pretty strong cars in my opinion. Pretty capable of taking this thing home.
Yeah, and talking of Jake Fisher, he looked to the high line with Rosario. A lot of people went with him, but in the end, that fizzled out. No one going to be able to make that high line work. Side by side for the lead now, Tyler Gary coming on the high side, but we've seen before, and there they go. Back to the high line, Jake Fisher in the 84 trying to make it work. Rolling it off, turn number 4, Jake Fisher leading that third groove with Rosario in tow. 14 laps remaining at Daytona.
This is not what Gary wants to see, as his pretty much his entire middle line jump to go to the outside line, and that's going to stall them all out and make it a dead heat for the lead here. Yeah,
and Gary might even go up to try and block. We'll see what he decides to do here. They're going to have a huge head of steam off turn at number 2. Blimp Cam taking a look at the back straightaway. Everybody shuffling around that 20 car in the middle. Malillo on the bottom. Fisher up top, 3 wide for about row 2 and back.
Cosman just over the radio just said, hey, we're back in the pack, so I don't know, looking further back, I don't know what's going on, but, you know?
Yeah, things might start to be getting a little bit aggressive there in that second pack. What's up, Isaac?
Made contact with somebody going through the tri-oval. I didn't know who that was. I think that was the 20 car.
Oh, and it checked him up huge time as well. That third line basically completely fizzling out, back down to 2 wide. Off turn 2, coming down the back straightaway. Justin Bland over Tyler Gary. 2 wide for the lead. We are very quickly approaching 2 laps to go, or 10 laps to go. Take a look at this as well. The 90 of Preston Pardis coming as well. Now Palmieri to the high line with the 07 car. It's starting to get dicey here at Daytona.
Another one of the Space Station Gaming cars jumped up there. When do you think go time is going to be? Because we're coming to lap 69. Very nice. Oh, and one of the space station gaming cars, both of them actually just dropped out of the high line to join the middle. I guess they kind of guessed that the outside line was going to stall out.
They might be trying to tandem to the lead here. We've got 12 laps to go. I mean, I think go time might be now. One of the wall. That might have been Ionishu in the back. No, that was the 20 who got in the outside wall through turns 1 and 2.
He's going to shuffle to the rear here as we're just two by two again, coming down to into turn 3 here. As never mind, we're 3 wide.
The sun's starting to set at Daytona. The high line is coming. Preston Pardis with a run off Jake Fisher. The Space Station Gaming boys getting lined up on the high line, trying to avenge Will Rogers. Off turn 4, coming to the line. The sun is setting. 11 laps to go. That high line is moving. Preston Pardis coming to the lead. 3 wide, like you said, for the race lead, about 2 rows deep now up at the front. Justin Bland leading the inside, Gary leading the middle, Pardis leading up top. 11 to go at Daytona.
This is a very stout field here, coming to the 10 to go mark.
Yeah, it's getting very sketchy. That high line's moving, but it's back to just 2 cars. One of the Space Station boys dropped in. Tyler Gary now to the lead from the middle. New leader at Daytona, it's going to be Tyler Gary. We'll see if those blocks start coming soon. That 09 with a little bit of damage on his hood might be on the receiving end of a huge block here from Tyler Gary, but Gary going to park it on the inside lane. Now Palmieri and Mitchell coming on the outside line.
Dead heat coming across the start-finish line, going down into turn 1, still 3 wide further back as that outside line's refusing to die out here, as they're going to get a little bit of a run here going into turn 3.
That's
turn
P.
2, sorry.
And P Money coming on the high side. Big block from Palmieri. Palmieri up top. Now the 09 in the middle. Palmieri with the run. 10 to go at Daytona. Gary leading 3 wide, a few rows deep. Here comes the high line. Oh, and take a look at this. They're wrecking off they're wrecking on the back straightaway. They're all spinning in front of the field. Herschel makes it through. They're all crashing in turns 3 and 4. Pardis involved. Mercurio involved. Rice making it through, but a huge crash. Going to bring out the 3rd caution of the night with 10 to go. Yellow flag waving, and the leader at the time of caution, everyone blinking out, gave Herschel to the race lead.
Gary got a huge amount of contact there, but he did keep it rolling through the grass as we got a lot of torn up race cars again.
Yeah, another big one at Daytona that's going to tear up a lot of fast drivers. I think Tyler Gary might have gotten a little bit of damage out of that. But a huge crash entering turns 3 and 4. That's just about the worst place they could wreck. Going to bring out your 3rd caution of the night. We'll take a look at a replay.
Looks like Pardis just gave Palmieri a bad push going into turn 3.
Yeah, Preston Pardis maybe just getting a little bit too aggressive. We'll take a look on board with the driver to the number 90. It all started developing here. You're going to see Palmieri hop to the high side. I mean, I told you it was getting a little bit dicey, and I think in the end, tempers might have just boiled over. You see right there, Palmieri goes up top. Pardis locked onto the bumper of that very beautiful 8 car, by the way. Very nice design. You're going to see going down the back straightaway here. A little bit blurry from our blimp cam, but you're going to see Pardis just with a little bit too aggressive of a push to the bumper of the 8. Puts him in the wall. They all start wrecking. Gary involved. Oh man, Herschel squeezing through on the high line, but basically nobody made it through. They were all stacked up. I mean, there was really nowhere to go for most of those guys there. Cosmo Ionishu, though, sending it to the inside, was able to make it through. You see the 24 on the high line pretty much just stopped, but he made it through as well. But in the end, it's going to bring out a caution. Oh, and yeah, Palmieri, I think... Yeah, he just got a bad push from Pardis, which pushed him in the wall. It knocked into Gary. They all started wrecking.
I was just about to say this was about go time for these drivers, where some of these moves might lead to costly mistakes.
Oh, man, Palmieri just crowd surfing at Daytona. Oh, man, that was messy. There was not a lot of places for people to go. There were a few drivers that didn't make it through, though. It looks like maybe... I think that's RJ Willie... whoever's in the 55 there made it through. Couple of big names. I think Justin Lisenby made it through without too much effort. I think he was able to just kind of squeeze through on the inside. On board with him now. We're on board with the 31, like I said. Take a look at this. You're going to see him start to wreck. Lisenby, okay. The C parts for Lisenby. He's going to make it through in that 31. Great move by Lisenby to make it through unscathed.
I think that 31 car's got a code brown.
Yeah, that That looked sketchy. That looked very, very sketchy indeed. I want to take one more look at it because I'm just very impressed with how he was able to make it through.
Looks like Tyler Gary's leading this race right now under caution, but he's got a fair bit of right side damage.
Yeah, I was going to say, Gary picked up quite a bit of damage in that wreck, and for some reason, ATVO keeps switching over to the 20 car, which is not what I wanted to do. You see right there, Palmieri, just, oh man, that was messy. I mean, I think Evan Rice, who basically was drifting into that wreck, might have actually gotten lucky there because he was able to kind of slot in a way where he didn't get too much front-end damage. And with these cars the way they are on iRacing, I mean, that's really the part of the car that you need to protect because that front end, if you get even a little bit of damage, it can really affect your straight line speeds. And at a track like Daytona, you need the most straight line speed possible. So back live, it is Tyler Gary in the lead. A sea of wrecked race cars coming out of the pit lane. Justin Melillo, one of the only cars with a front bumper, but back up front, we're going to go back green. Tyler Gary in control. And take a look at that. Only a little bit of right side damage to Gary. It's going to be him and Herschel in the front row, but a lot of damage race car. Justin Lisomby, I'd keep an eye out on him because he is going to be one of the better cars in the field. Isaac, what do you think?
Yeah, a lot of bent up race cars up here, so it's going to be quite even actually. If everyone has a little bit of damage, it's going to slow down the field considerably. However, there is a few very clean looking race cars in this field that are going to be in the mix here, and hopefully in an ideal situation all those guys get linked up and just try and run away. Yeah,
that front pack is pretty much thinned out. It's about 14 cars in it, looks like. A little bit more than 14 cars. I think it's going to be a 16-car pack at the front of the field. And Will Rogers on back. That's kind of when the modified racing starts. I mean, Evan Rice still's got a front end. But you're going to see Jake Fisher, a couple of these guys. Yeah, Brian Mercurio is kind of leading the modified race at the moment. And Jake Fisher, I believe, he's kind of a reverse modified because he has a rear bumper. But Brian Mercurio is actually missing both his bumpers. Anyways, here we go to the restart. Only a few clean cars left. We're going to have 6 laps to go. It's going to be a shootout to the end. But, I mean, I think it's been go time for quite a while. So, if that wasn't go time, I'm very scared of what go time is. All right, here we go.
Lights are out on the pace car as it's going to be pulling off the racetrack momentarily. And it's going to leave the start in control of your leader, Tyler Gary. As we are rolling, green flag again.
Here we go. Tyler Gary back down and away. Gabe Herschel on the outside. Justin Bland third. Mitchell Riggs fourth. Justin Lisenby rounding out your top 5. We're back green at Daytona. 6 to go. Good jump by Gabe Herschel on the high side. Herschel going to get the run here. Going into turn number 1. Justin Bland going to get a run with him on the high side. They're going to be pushing off turn 2 here. New leader, Gabe Herschel for the first time tonight. Big run off 2, but Tyler Gary going to fight back on the inside with that 09. Lisenby on the inside as well. A couple of drivers moving around trying to get clean air on their race cars. But down the back straightaway, it is Herschel over Bland. Is Herschel going to come down to block? He's a little bit too far out front now. If Bland wanted to, he could slice to the inside.
Gary's hurting for straight line speed.
Oh, and look at this. Bland moving to the high side. He's barely going to make it work. Herschel, big block down to the 26. Here comes Justin Bland. Oh, he's going to get sideways. He saves it. Big save for Bland on the front straightaway. 5 laps remaining. They're crashing into the wall. Cosman involved. Mercurio to the inside. Caution is out. Cosman around for the second time tonight. I believe this time he's going to lose a front bumper. Caution is out once again. 4th caution of the night with 5 to go. And it's going to restack the field with Gabe Herschel, Justin Bland, and Tyler Gary, your leaders. And it looks like it might have just been another bad bump. We're going to take a look at a replay. So we'll switch over to the blimp cam. All right, well, you can barely see things from that. Weather conditions not ideal here.
Fisher got into him.
Yeah, just a bad bump, it looks like. We're going to go, this isn't like the best broadcasting camera, but I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the chase cam because that should give us a good idea of the wreck. So apologies, it's going to look a little bit wonky here, but it's the best thing we can do. Cosman here just kind of strung out in the middle of a 3 wide. Now watch for Fisher, and I believe he's going to hook him and Hagenstein towards the inside row of cars and back against the outside wall. And I don't think a bent-up bumper for Cosman helped either. Oh, yeah, okay, so it looks like Cosman got stacked up behind the 27, then got into Fisher, got turned into the outside wall, plowed into again. Rogers plows into the 42 of Rice. But for the most part, just a single car spin, bringing out another caution here at Daytona.
Well, if it wasn't go time before it is now, this restart's going to be probably a green-white checker. So this is going to be a very interesting and very, very fun to watch restart.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a natural green-white checker. Not quite in overtime yet. We'll see if they can settle it. I believe, Isaac, I think you can check this through the info tab, but I believe there are 3 attempts to get the race restarted, although there might be unlimited. If you could go ahead and check that, that'd be great. Actually, I think I can check this.
I'm looking through right now. I don't really see anything yet.
Yeah, here we go. I've got it here. We have 1 green-white checkered attempt. All right, so we better get it done the first time, because if we don't, we're going to end this race under yellow. Lights are still on the pace car, so it looks like we are going to have 1 natural... It looks like we're going to extend it to overtime, so this might be it. This might be our 1 attempt. I have confidence in these boys. I think they can bring it back to the line cleanly. So we'll see. Thank you to everyone for tuning in so far. This restart going to decide the winner of the first race in the 2021A VSCRA National Premier Series season.
Arnold Columbia's lining up P8, so...
Make what you will of that. But yeah, just before we get this race back underway, I want to give a big thank you to Elliot Henderson for giving us the opportunity to bring you this race live on TMG. I mean, I've had a lot of fun, Isaac. I know that you have too. I think that this has been a great race from start to finish. Very clean with just the right amount of chaos. So I'm very excited to see how this all turns out. Our scoring is messed up and is putting Scott Zellner in the race lead. So thank you, ATVO. But it is actually Gabe Herschel in the 0-7 who is leading this thing. He will bring us back to green. I'm very excited for this restart. We'll see how it turns out. Alright, just a reminder of the rules. 1 green-white checkered attempt. If we get a caution, it will end under yellow. I do believe these are automatic yellows, although I think I can check that as well. But as far as I know, if we get 1 car spinning on this restart, that's going to do it.
I do believe we are going green this time by.
The lights are still...
Sorry, 1 to go.
Yeah, I think we're getting 1 to green this time by, and we'll go green next time by. The anticipation's building in the virtual stands, and I hope it's building at home. 1 to go under yellow. It's going to be a green-white checkered restart. You should hear the spotter come over the radio as well, confirming it. Sometimes my spotter likes to do that. Sometimes he doesn't. 2 to go on the restart. It'll be into overtime. We'll see who can settle it. Like I said, 1 attempt at a restart. If we get a caution between now and the white flag, the race is official. So it'll be whichever comes first, the yellow or the checkered. But I'm hoping that we can race this thing green to the end. Gabe Herschel going to line up as your leader. Justin Bland on the high side. Tyler Gary third. RJ Williams, haven't talked about him at all this race, lining up 4th. Mitchell Riggs in 5th. Jonathan Bell 6th. Justin Lisenby 7th. And Arnold Columbia in 8th.
If you're Gabe Herschel, are you going to try and lead this thing all the way out, or are you going to try and find a way to weasel yourself P2 and then get drafted to the win?
I'm going to be blocking. I mean, I'm not the best at plate racing, but if I'm Gabe Herschel, I'm going to be blocking all around the racetrack. I want this lead. I want this win, and I have a feeling that Gabe Herschel is going to be wanting it. So we'll see here. Lights are out of the pace car. We're going to go back green this time by, like I said, 1 attempt. The sun is setting at Daytona, so we've got a very picturesque view for the finish. Gabe Herschel in the Space Station Gaming Ford trying to bring it to victory lane. Justin Bland trying to bring his car to victory lane. That just the front row, though. Really, anybody out of this top 10, really, could take the victory. And if it gets really messy on the white flag, I think anyone, even a modified, could win this race. So we'll see how this turns out. Here we go. Pace car is going to make that left turn on to the pit road. Gabe Herschel in the lead. Green flag is back out. We are back racing at Daytona. We are in VSCRA overtime. Green flag.
Inside line got an excellent start there. Tyler Gary was able to pull up immediately to Herschel's bumper and just push him to the down into turn 1 here.
Gary and Herschel leading away at Daytona. They've got a breakaway going. We'll see if Bland can fight back on the high side. We know Gary's been struggling for speed here. And will Gary move up to work with Bland? Will he stay with Herschel? He's going to move up the track. Herschel to block.
Oh, hang on to it.
They're blocking all over the racetrack. Herschel getting very aggressive indeed. Couple of guys below the apron. Coming around to the white flag. Are they going to make it back? 4 wide. Going into turn number 3. This might not work out. It will work out. They're going to settle it back down to 3 wide. Marissi on the high line going to settle it back. 2 wide. Back to the line. They're going to make it. Gary to the high side. Pushing Bland up top. 3 wide. Second row in. They're bouncing off each other. White flag in the air for the VSCRA season opener. 1 to go. Herschel in control. Gary to second. Gary to the middle. Bland on the high line. Mitchell Riggs there as well. 3 wide. 4 rows deep as they come down the back straightaway. Gabe Herschel on the inside. Gary with a run up the middle. Justin Bland on the high side. Is anyone going to send it 4? They're shuffling around to the back.
Head out.
Gary's got the run. He's closing. He's in the lead. Herschel falling back. Tyler Gary to the point. To the middle comes the 21. They're crashing behind.
They're all wrecking.
Bland keeping it straight. They're wrecking. Tyler Gary leading him off 4. Now, here comes the 12 car. Coming to the start-finish line. Tyler Gary is going to pick up the checkered flag. Tyler Gary is going to win the VSCRA National Premier Series season opener at Daytona.
Called it.
And what a race. Your final results. It's Gary over Fitzgerald over Herschel over Hagenstein, who worked his way into 4th. Couple of engines blowing after the line. It's Tyler Gary taking the victory. What
can I say? I called it.
Yeah, I mean, what a finish. Tyler Gary able to hold them all off, got that run on the back straightaway, and was able to make it. A beautiful defense by Tyler Gary is going to see him in a victory lane at Daytona over Fitzgerald and Herschel. You can see the unofficial results on the left-hand side of your screen, but Tyler Gary has won the VSCRA season opener.
Classic case of seconds the best.
Yeah, I mean, that was just wild. I mean, Herschel was getting aggressive with the blocks. They went 4 wide at one point. For a second, I thought that Bland was going to make a run on the high side. They wrecked off 4. It was incredible racing to the line, but it's Tyler Gary taking the victory in VSCRA overtime. He's going to burn it down at Daytona.
I mean, that was a fantastic race.
Absolutely. I mean, from lights to flag, that was an incredible... There was incredible battles the whole time. I think 2 nights in a row now we've had incredible racing on TMG, both times with the Xfinity car. Should tell you a little bit about what aero package works best. But Tyler Gary, a beautiful victory. Gabe Herschel, a crushing 3rd. And Andrew Fitzgerald with a lucky 2nd. A very, very great way to start off the season. So Elliot Henderson, well done putting the league together. And congratulations to Tyler Gary. Before we bring him up into the booth, we're going to take one more look at a replay of that finish. But we're going to let Tyler Gary finish burning it down here at Daytona. I mean, you can imagine he's so excited to get this victory. One of the biggest stages in sim racing. It was an incredible job by Gary. All right, we're going to go ahead and wind it back and take a look at a replay of that finish because it got wild there on the last lap, so we're going to analyze it just one more time. So right here, we're going to switch to the blimp cam. Actually, we're going to use the chopper cam. It's a little bit clearer. You see, that's Gary right there in the middle with the 21 pushing. And it really, where it all started to go wrong with the field is you had that classic iRacing Super Speedway last lap of a wreck off turn 4 on the white flag. You see, Gary went down and that 21 car was leaning on Herschel, ended up spinning out. Justin Bland on the high side, they were 4 wide momentarily. And they almost made it through there, but they all ended up piling into the wall. And then at that point, it was down to Fitzgerald, but he got stacked up into the wall. He just didn't have the momentum to chase down Gary to the line. Fitzgerald almost had it, but in the end, Tyler Gary was too strong for the field, and he was able to take the checkered flag at Daytona, even though, I mean, like we said, he was down on power, at least had some aero damage. So it was an incredible job by Tyler Gary, and we're going to be able to bring him up into the booth now. Tyler, it's Jonathan up in the TMG broadcast booth. You got us?
Yep. What's up?
Well, man, it was incredible to watch you race to the finish there. I mean, on the back straightaway, you were 3 wide in the middle. Walk us through your thoughts on that last lap.
I mean, all I was trying to do on those last 2 laps was just get clear of the guys from outside and then try to fake. Oh, sorry about that. Try to fake Gabe out and either go high and go back low or go low and go back high or whatever. But I just had too much right front damage that it was hard to do. But luckily, he made a bad block blocked the wrong line, and then whoever was behind me was able to push me good to the lead. And I just barely avoided the wreck behind me.
Yeah, I mean, we saw there coming to the line, we saw Fitzgerald in the 55. He had maybe a run on you. Were you ever worried that the draft was just going to be too strong and he was going to get around you coming to the line?
No, I was watching my mirror the whole time. I saw he got doored, or he got caught up in it a little bit, but barely made it through. I knew he didn't have enough momentum to get to me, but I was still watching just in case.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, it was an incredible race and an incredible win for you. Anyone you'd like to thank for the result?
Yeah, I'd like to thank all the boys over at Moonsport. I'd like to thank my teammate Evan for tonight. I'd like to thank Slipstream Media for being on the car tonight as well as Elliot for putting this whole league on.
All right, well, congratulations on the win. We don't have anything else to ask you, so we're going to go ahead and send you back, but good job. Nice win.
Thank you.
Next up, we're going to bring the 55 of Andrew Fitzgerald into the broadcast booth. Here we go. Andrew, it's Jonathan up in the TMG broadcast booth. You got us?
Oh, yeah. How's it going?
It's going really well. I mean, in the end there, you came up just short with a second place finish. Coming to the line there, it looks like you might have been able to get the draft off of Gary. Was there ever any thought in your mind that you might have been able to slingshot him coming to the line?
I was hoping once I got through that wreck that I'd be able to, but I just didn't have the pace. Damaged car from one of the previous wrecks. I'm just happy to be able to finish second.
Yeah, I mean, we saw in that last lap there, you're kind of mired back in traffic with nowhere really to go. Were you planning anything through maybe turns 3 and 4 on the front straightaway to try and get a run at the win if that wreck hadn't happened?
I really honestly didn't think I had a chance at winning. It was just hope and pray at that point.
And I mean, in the end, it's a second place finish. I don't think there's anything too bad about that. Anyone you'd like to thank for the result?
No, not really. Just had some good fun with Shake and Drake and Biggles TV.
All right, well, congratulations on the second place finish. We're going to go ahead and send you back.
All right, thank you.
That was the driver of the 55, Andrew Fitzgerald. Next up, we're going to bring up Gabe Herschel, who was leading on the white flag but was not able to seal the deal. Gabe, it's Jonathan Oates up in the TMG broadcast booth. You got us?
Yep, gotcha.
Well, on that last lap there, you were leading coming to the white, but you got passed on the back straightaway, and it kind of all kicked off going into turns 3 and 4. Walk us through your thoughts on that last lap.
Yeah, so once we get the white, I saw the previous restart, and then on that restart, how they, him, Tyler Gary, and the 65 were setting me up. They're just trying to, do the classic fake high, go low, or vice versa. So once I got there, I kind of, after doing it for the 4th time, I kind of figured he was going to do it again, and I just barely missed the last block on ring 1, and that was kind of all she wrote. Just wasn't in a position where I could control the lines like I was earlier. So all in all, I can't complain to be alive after that last wreck, but it kind of, obviously it isn't ideal leading at the white and finishing 3rd, but good points there, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about that block just a little bit. I mean, do you think there's anything else you could have done differently, maybe going through turns 3 and 4 that could have gotten you the win back?
At that point, no. Once I got into 3 and 4, it was kind of just hang on, and barely got through the last 2 corners. So at that point, it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, it really, sometimes in these races, you comes down to split-second decisions, and I just mistimed one, and that was pretty much what ended my chance to win. But for first race out this season, 3rd place in the Space Station Gaming Forward, cannot complain. So that's always a good way. Now we'll just go into Atlanta and hope for 2 positions better.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I don't think there's anything wrong with getting a 3rd place finish. You did a great job out there, so congratulations. Anyone you'd like to thank for the result?
Like I said, Space Station Gaming, I've been helping out with the iRacing Coke program they got going on, so that's been a fun thing we've been launching. So really them, and then people who help run the program, Jake Fisher, Will Rogers, and then everyone else I worked with today, John Palmieri, Warren Rosario, everyone really that I've been racing with for several years was helped today, and yeah, so shout out to them, and like I said, hopefully we'll do better next week.
Well, congratulations on your 3rd place finish. Really cool to see you out there making some big moves, and we'll go ahead and see you later. We'll send you back. Bye.
All right, thanks, Ben. Appreciate it.
That was Gabe Herschel, driver of the 07, who came up just short at Daytona. You see him right there on your screen getting into the 21, although really the 21 came down on him. But in the end, it was a very, very exciting finish, a very eventful race. Isaac, I hope you enjoyed it just as much as I did. Were there any final thoughts? Oh, okay, hold on. Let me try that again. Any final thoughts on the race?
No, I mean, this has got to be one of the most entertaining super speedway races I've watched on iRacing for a long, long time. Just the sheer talent of the field, just the hyper-competitive nature that these guys bring, just created a great atmosphere for the racing that we saw tonight, and I don't think we could see anything better.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think that there was a lot of clean racing throughout the field. We had a lot of long green flag runs, some green flag pit stops overall. I think this race went really well. Huge thank you to Elliot Henderson and all the guys over at VSCRA for letting us have the opportunity to bring this all to you on TMG. We're not going to be covering the rest of the season, however, it was still a great opportunity to be able to cover their season opener. Next up on TMG, a couple of updates about the network. Next Monday night is going to be the Integrity Racing League season opener at Daytona, so same track, same cars, same place. Just a different day. It'll be Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. More updates on that coming later. So that'll be kicking off the Integrity Racing League season. But for now, that's about all we got. So we're going to see you all later. Thank you all for joining us along for the ride. Thank you to Elliot Henderson for letting us put this on. We're going to see you all next time. Goodbye, everybody.